Yo, it's Joe, and welcome to another video. We're gonna get to Talison's Between the Sheets. So I'm very interested to see what Talison's about, because I don't know much about him. He's the one I know the least about, I think, honestly. He's a mystery, but apparently that's like an inside joke. Let's see what we got going on with Taliesin, eh?
Hello, my name is Brian W. Foster,
What's up,
and
Brian?
on tonight's episode,
Looking
I
super
sit down for
dapper
a
with the
blonde
black,
Manhattan,
the black on black? John Wick, okay.
Taliesin Jaffe, the most interesting man in the world, discussing everything from surviving child acting to growing up goth to creating interesting and compelling characters. All that and more on this episode.
Between the Sheets. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. But how have you guys been doing, man? Let me know in the comments. What's up, man? How you guys doing?
What are we drinking today?
Ooh, Talison's hair is looking quite fabulous, if I do say so myself. And it's matching with the fit. Ooh, cause he got the purple hair with the hold on a second. The drip is on a whole other level, cause he's also got the yo. Does he like? Is that on purpose? that's pretty fire. If he like made his hair that color, and then he was like, "Yep, I got the perfect outfit to go with this." That's pretty cool.
Ooh, cheers. Cheers.
Let me bring it back a few seconds.
We are drinking a blonde Manhattan.
Blonde
cheers.
Manhattan, eh?
Cheers to that.
Alright.
Citrusy goodness.
Ooh, citrusy. Love that. Love that.
Why'd you choose?
Yo, do any of you guys remember the I think it was Minute Maid. This kind of Minute Maid citrus flavor that they discontinued. If any of you guys know what I'm talking about, that was like the best one, and they discontinued it for some reason. I don't know if people just weren't buying it, which baffles me, because that was like the best flavor. If any of you guys know what I'm talking about, just let me know, cause it's crazy. It's the best flavor, and they discontinue it. It's the same thing. Okay, first, just real quick, Nesquik, cookies and cream Nesquik. Am I the only one that remembers the cookies and cream Nesquik? Just let me know, because apparently every other person I talk to that grew up in the 90s has no fucking idea what I'm talking about. So
Choose this drink. It's delicious.
I was at a friend's house who has a very complicated bar setup, and I really wanted a Manhattan, and the ingredients for a Manhattan didn't exist, and so he kind of bullshitted the whole thing together with, what's the base of this again? It's moonshine. It is literal moonshine.
Yeah.
And I didn't find out till months later. I was like, somebody's got to have done this before, since it's such a good fix for that problem, and it was so tasty.
It's a fix for a lot of problems.
So yeah, it was just kind of a happy accident that we ran into.
Yeah, it's citrusy. It's
happy little accident.
Strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
We
strong.
should take our time. We have a lot to talk about.
Family business. Super
So you
interested,
grew up
man.
Here, born and raised, L.A.
It's so rare
Ah.
to meet someone
It does not happen
from
often.
here, right?
I was born in Venice Beach.
Everyone is someone in
Someone
LA.
was juggling fire sticks on
What's that song from?
rollerblades passing
And let
by
me-
as
if
we
you
were
know-
being brought
It
into
was
this world.
hundreds
We
of years
tight.
ago, just sticks on the
Oh, yeah,
top.
that's true. It was actually the day the wheel was invented.
It was an auspicious day.
You come from a pretty big family, a pretty interesting family. What was that like growing up here with?
Thankfully, I'm the oldest of my
Oh, look at
generation.
adorable
My
little
family, so I didn't
Taliesin.
have to deal with any of them growing up. They all had
All the way back in like the fucking 1200s, man. The 1200s. Look at him looking dapper.
to live up to me, which was much easier.
Looks pretty good for his
Yeah,
age.
It gives me a nice head start on a lot of things.
Yeah.
My family though is eclectic.
Yeah, to say the least, in the best ways.
I was gonna say, have you met much of my family yet, or have you not?
I've met a brother.
Okay.
I've met a mother.
Okay.
Maybe another brother.
It might have been. Another
Maybe I've
brother.
met two brothers.
Okay,
Yeah,
two
because how
brothers and
many
a
of
mother.
you are there?
Well, I mean, there's oh god, it's complicated. There's my two brothers and my sister,
Yeah.
and then I've got some cousins that get interesting, and then uncles and aunts, and then the family is extensive. My dad and that side of the family, which is a different kind of strange, but also equally strange.
Yeah. And your grandfather
Yes.
was George Axelrod,
Yes.
a famous writer, director, producer.
Definitely writer and director, and a little bit of producer.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's one of those things where he was occasionally very unsuccessful at it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
counts.
If that's gonna make the old CV.
It goes even further behind his parents. His parents, but on the other side, on the carpenter side of the family, I have great grandparents who are in the industry as well. Like it actually
Really?
goes goes way back. My great grandmother was an actress, Betty Carpenter, was a silent film actress.
Yeah.
A couple of her films still exist. They're hard to find.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Two. And then she married a producer like you do.
That's
Yeah.
cool to like
Tired.
to be able to see that if you can
That's what I
find it.
think,
That's
Yeah,
cool
well,
to see like your
it's
history.
The LA Dream. Yeah,
People in
my
your family
grandfather was a
doing the
playwright
thing.
And a director. He wrote. It's so strange to talk about this. Like,
I'm
out
glad.
loud. I know it's.
I'm glad you're talking
It's one of
about
those
it,
things
yeah.
that we don't normally do in this
I know.
business. Yeah, he wrote The 7-Year Itch.
Yeah.
The play and the film.
Yeah.
He also wrote the film adaptation for The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
And
Did he work on My Fair Lady? Or
not My
something?
Fair. Oh no, he was.
No. It was.
Paris When It Sizzles.
Yeah.
He did Bus Stop with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's a few others.
Were you guys
Breakfast
close?
at Tiffany's.
Oh, Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's what I was thinking, but not My
was a
Fair
big one.
Lady. Yeah.
We were very, very close.
Yeah.
Growing up was at least once a week. If
Really?
Not more, yeah.
Was that your first taste of sort of show business? Was being around him?
Well, it was weird. I mean, like the whole family is kind of in the business, save one uncle who decided that becoming a lawyer was probably a better direction to go.
Well, with your family, you guys probably needed one,
Uh,
right? There's one in the family.
He's done some work on occasion. He's in Australia. He's deep down there.
Yeah,
but
lawyer in Australia, sure.
The land down under.
He's got a gator necklace on at this very moment and
God, I
a
hope so.
leather tan.
In my wildest dreams.
A gator
Yeah.
necklace.
So it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't weird because it was life, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. And I was working. I mean, I had a SAG card at like 7 months old. I was a working kid. My
Gerber
mother-
baby.
Had a what?
My mother. I mean, I had a SAG card at like 7 months. old.
SAG
I was a
card.
working kid.
What is that
Gerber
for?
baby.
My mother was a working actress at the time.
It has to do something with show business and maybe
writing scripts and
getting
and
in,
stuff, and it-
like behind
my
the set or
grandfather-
behind the
my
scenes
other
type thing,
grandfather,
maybe
much
like a
more junior,
pass.
was, producing films.
That's what I'm
I think he was
guessing.
head of the DGA for a little while. I mean,
Wow.
like this is, and then my other uncle was producing for, I want to say, was it CBS? He'll kill me for not remembering. He was one of the big executives in one of the television networks.
Let's hope he doesn't watch it.
Oh God, I hope not. No.
There's a great story I remember you telling me about your grandfather, about George Axelrod, about
Oh, there's so many.
when he was having a heart attack.
Oh
what,
God.
What his final
Hmm.
words would have been.
Oh my God. Oh, so I got very okay. I have to set this up because this is a good story.
Yeah.
This is a very him story. I got really into Japanese animation when I was a teenager. I was like, I became
As you
very
do.
obsessed
I
with it
mean,
at a time when
as you do, you know.
it had not quite caught on. Boy, had it not quite caught on to the level it is today. This was
Yeah.
in the 90s.
Oh yeah, no.
And I got obsessed.
I mean, it didn't catch on as it in America. Yeah, the huge cultural boom with like anime and manga, I think, in America, started at the tail end of the '90s, absolutely the early 2000s with the with Toonami, really showing a lot of people like in my age group getting us into anime and stuff like that. Cause man, that segment, that show, whatever you want to call it, did wonders for a lot of people. And like to this day, it's still on. It was actually so popular that it got canceled and it got brought back due to popular demand by the fans in a time where you can literally just look up anything you want now on the internet as far as anime goes, and there was still so much of a push for it to be back on television for people to just be able to watch it just for that nostalgic factor. Toonami was huge. But yeah, I definitely would say like the tail end of the '90s, early 2000s is when it really started to catch on here in the U.S.
With dubbing. I thought dubbing was really fascinating because a lot of I felt at the time, and I feel confident in this opinion, that a lot of dubbing was very, very bad. And I was fascinated as to why, especially growing up.
The American dubbing.
Oh, the American
of the
dubbing
anime.
of the
yeah.
anime was
Yeah.
all over the place and kind of a mess. Some of it was very good, some of it was not. A lot of it was not.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fascinated as to why and what was going wrong, and just from growing up around theater people and film people, I was like, there's got to be what's missing. What are they doing wrong? What is this process, and why is it not easy? And became obsessed with it. I started a club in my high school at the time that was an anime club. We were also doing
Oh, you're
dubbing.
fucking awesome,
Wow.
dude.
And it's so bad.
How would you do the home dubbing?
We had we would use like the AV club equipment, and oh god, so the
Did you
project,
sneak it out of the school at night?
Oh, they were
and then-
totally into it. No,
Oh,
no.
really?
Well,
Oh,
and
you had
then-
permission.
Well, I had permission. Then once I was out of high school, and I was like, I've got this big. I saw this show called Evangelion, which changed my fucking life. Like,
Bro, that is. I personally have never seen it. I know, crazy. I'm an anime fan. I've never seen. There's a lot of animes that I have yet to see. But I've seen some obscure ass shit. But I haven't seen. Like, I've never seen. I'm gonna get my anime fan card taken away. Whatever. Have not seen Cowboy Bebop. Have not seen Death Note. Have not seen Evangelion. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's blasphemy right there. But I'm still an anime fan. I've seen some obscure animes, like I said, like Casshern, Munto. Darker Than Black isn't really that obscure, but it's obscure enough to where not so many people that I know what the hell that is. So yeah, man, yeah.
like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna dub this shit. And I got a bunch of my friends together, and like we literally, one of my friends' dad worked for Dole Pineapple, so we got a grant from Dole Pineapple, and we used that money to rent some tape decks, took them to the valley, to his sound studio in the valley, and like
You're carrying it out, and your friend Ricky's like, "Where'd we get the money for that?" Dole.
Big Pineapple.
Don't worry
man.
about
Big
it.
Pineapple.
Yeah, I know people in Big Pineapple.
But like we got, I called up random fucking people. I got a hold of random people. I found a voice actress from the Max through a friend who was like, I was a big fan of the Max. I thought the VO work was great.
Yeah.
I got Roddy McDowell, who was an old family friend, to be in this thing. With
Really?
Me. Oh yeah, he came out and did the whole.
He came and did dubbing.
He did dubbing for me in the valley. And this,
Wow.
That's
and
awesome.
This is just setting up. So I got George.
George.
We're
Yeah,
George.
we forget your your grandfather.
So I wanted him to do a part just because he had. I mean, you can find videos.
Yeah,
of him.
his
He has
voice
a great
was-
voice.
Yeah.
It's just heavy and great and wonderful timing. And it's sweltering. It's 100 fucking degrees in the studio, and it's very hot. And we're taking tapes. We're taking takes, and it's going at speed. He's getting a little sweaty, and at one point, we're like halfway through a session, and he looks a little pale, and he stands up out of nowhere, takes 2 steps to the bathroom, and collapses on the ground and unconscious. And we panic.
Yeah.
And run in,
It's
open the
fucking
doors,
scary.
Start dialing 911 and trying to wake him up. And his eye at one point,
Fucking get
me
it
and
heat
my
stroke or
friend
something.
Are, like on top of him, basically trying to like wake him up or like see if he can see anything. And his eyes just burst open. He just grabs our collars and just, "Don't let me die in the valley!" Oh God! And then passes back out.
That's right. That's what it was.
And it took several minutes for us to actually call 911 because we were laughing so hard.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it really interrupted the ambulance.
Anywhere but here.
Yeah, and thankfully
He was fine.
He
He was
survived
fine.
that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if those would have been his last words, it
It
probably
would have been the most.
very him.
It would have been very brilliant.
Yeah, that would have
Yeah.
been hilarious.
It's interesting to me because every story I've heard about him, it's like Taliesin makes more and more sense.
Oh, yeah, no.
And then when you meet someone from your family, it's sort of the same way because you guys are all very personable and very
Dark.
dark.
A little odd.
Everybody has their own eccentricities, which I think is really interesting.
And we're snarky people.
Yeah.
I mean, but not like hatefully.
Yeah, it doesn't come across like bitter or
No.
like when I do it. Coming from that kind of a family, and it doesn't sound like when there's that many sort of talented people in the family, a lot of times there's competition. It doesn't really sound like that's how it was for you.
No, I mean, and we were all kind of had our little fiefdoms.
Yeah.
We were not, and there was no real competition. We would compete with other people, but amongst ourselves, we would just demean and belittle each other out of good fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a practice and fun, and then we would be truly cruel to people outside of the family.
Yeah.
No,
That's how a family stays together.
and everyone did well. We were all one form of another successful in what we were pointing out to do, whether it be emotional success or financial, and both were given pretty decent weight by everybody in the family. So
Surviving child acting.
You seem to surround yourself with a lot of different types of people. You know, a lot of people you can look at their friend group and the closest people to them, and everybody sort of resembles each other in some way,
Sure.
personality-wise. You have such a diverse group of people. in your
I've
life.
collected a menagerie.
Yeah. You have an army.
Got a
of people following you
smorgasbord.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a bunch of different things. Child acting is weird.
Yeah.
And makes you a little. It's a.
Oh,
it's a
look,
weird
the
thing
little
to
Barry.
have happen to a person.
The little
My
Taliesin
experience
Barry.
as a child actor was weirder than most.
Why?
My parents were not gung ho about it, so there are aspects of the business I just didn't have to deal with because they were not. They were not pushing for it.
Mhm.
They were very trepidatious about everything I did. There were a lot of good gigs I turned down. That
What's one you turned down? What's that?
Well, real quick before he says that, that's interesting. So he was into child acting, like he was actually in these functions, despite the fact that his parents weren't necessarily into the whole thing. You want to talk about some support? Shit. I mean, that works, I guess. That's interesting, though. You like a lot of the times when parents aren't necessarily about that for whatever reason, like if they feel like their kid's too young to get into something like that, um, they tend just not to do it. But hey, man, good on him. I mean, and look at where it got him. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
That maybe I would know about.
Here's a fun one. Apparently, I was offered Elf, not the alien, but the kid in Elf. So
Really?
we were
Oh,
one of the people
cool.
offered that part, or at least at some point it was floated. There's these things. I think Daryl was another one, if I recall. I'm sure it's been so long. It doesn't
Wow.
matter anymore,
That would have been interesting had you ended up on Alf.
I'm really glad I didn't. But yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I was very upset and going, "This is a bad choice."
I heard it was kind of a contentious environment.
Everything my parents ever said no to ended up probably being for the best.
Yeah.
My mom had a good spider sense about these things.
Now that's interesting because a lot of times when you run into people that end up child actors, there's a lot
Parents
of
are very pushy.
parents are very pushy. They're showbiz parents, or they're trying to take all of their kids' money, and
My mom had been an actress, so she kind of had a sense of it and was aware that it was kind of she was aware of the pitfalls of it, and also had grown up also in this environment with
Yeah.
Mhm.
my grandparents, so was not enthusiastic.
yeah,
And also just due to the nature of the way I grew up and spending time away from school, I didn't actually know any. The thing that happens, I think, to a lot of child actors is that they're bouncing back and forth between an attempt to maintain a normal social life with normal children, and then this work environment, and then back to normal social life.
I
which
mean,
think can be
that's
very-
been like the pattern that I've been hearing from all these guys in their interviews is kind of just like that inability to really maintain friendships for too long, whether it be because of moving situations where they're constantly on the move, or just not necessarily having the time to help cultivate friendships. It's definitely a pattern that I've seen with these guys, and I guess with acting in general. I mean that's tough. Obviously, it's not something that happens to everyone. Like that's not like a struggle that everyone goes through. But I mean, it seems common enough based off of what I've heard here, and that's more props to you, man. Uh, and it seems like from this though, even though you can't make that many friends, maybe at the time you can use this experience to springboard yourself as use this experience as a springboard, so that when you're older, you can now have this time to really find these friends, and you kind of know yourself a little bit better, and you know who you want to surround yourself with. I mean, look at this friend group right here. Like I say it all the time, the Critical Role crew seems just like so close, and like it's like a family, and they all like the same things, all have the same kind of hobbies, all have the same professions, and then or very similar, and it's just it's cool to see, man. Definitely is tough. I would assume if you can't make friends, but you can put yourself in this predicament when you're older if you just keep at it. Just follow what you love doing, and it'll come, man. It'll come.
Dissonant.
yeah,
I didn't bother ever meeting any other kids. Just
yeah.
it wasn't really a thing that happened very often. I knew a few, but there were very few.
Was it hard to relate to kids that you would be around that weren't in the business because it was
I was
such
never
a big
around any of them.
So yeah, just that's just avoid them
didn't-
altogether.
I didn't really. Yeah, I didn't. I knew a few, but they were very rare.
By the time you started to really figure out, okay, this acting thing is working for me,
Did your parents kind of come around? Because you said they were a little reluctant.
They
at
were. I
first.
mean, like I had a good agent. I had. God, I had a heart attack. I was watching The Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's right.
I was watching The Disaster Artist, and there was a part where he goes to the agent. She just like this old woman with the hair, and she's just smoking. She's just turn around. She's like, all right. You know, and she books. I'm like, yeah, I feel that. And then they're like, I signed with Iris Burton. I'm like, oh, too real.
That was your
That was my agent.
Yeah.
I gotta stop the movie right there. That's
I remember
too
you
much.
telling me that when the movie came out. It's like,
Damn,
that
that's
makes
crazy.
sense.
That's and oh, she was a great agent.
Yeah.
Bless her. But it didn't occur to me to do anything else. Also, I was enjoying it. I kind of knew it wasn't going to last forever. I wasn't as emotionally invested as some other people were, and I made and.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, a lot of those kids, it really becomes part of their identity. There becomes this big success push where it's like, this is what I'm doing. I don't even really think they necessarily think it through very. I can't think it
I mean,
through.
it's kind of hard to.
Right.
You're a
Weird.
kid, dude.
Right.
You're not really
And,
thinking too heavy into it.
I knew some other people who were a little more. Some of the kids that I met were a little more conscious of it and kind of understanding that this was a small piece of the larger mosaic that is life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew a lot of older actors. I was spending enough time with my grandparents that like most of the people I knew when I was 10 years old were in their 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of advice and kind of emotional energy I was getting was from people who had kind of already been there, and I was a very relaxed, human being in that level as well.
Yeah,
I
would say so.
I enjoyed the company of older people.
Considering how you turned out, do you think that
Is Taliesin a little nervous
being
there?
around those types?
I noticed it earlier. I wonder if this interview's got him a little nervous there.
Of influences,
It's a little
having
shaky
those
with
kind
his
of
hand.
voices in your life are what helped you
I picked
avoid
up
the
on that
pitfalls
earlier.
that a lot of child
absolutely.
actors end up falling into.
I could have. I will say reintegration into reality was rough, to put it mildly. When I did finally quit, very consciously, attempting to relate to people my own age proved very difficult. Very difficult. And if I had succumbed, especially if I had succumbed to the desire to be more like them and be accepted, which could have happened very easily.
Oh, hell yeah,
I could have
super
gone down
easy.
some very dark paths. I could have definitely gotten. I mean, like I went down a couple dark paths, but like not the traditional.
Right, exactly. Not necessarily the self-destructive kind. You were more of experimenting, right? And
No,
trying
but
to find
attempting to be liked and popular by creatures you don't understand, and I didn't understand how real how real children acted at all. They were alien creatures to me, and I had never experienced anything like them. And
I mean, when you spend your whole time with people in their 50s and 60s who are older, and like you said, he's more, because of that, his energy is more relaxed. Maybe, I don't want to say more mature, but he's just more relaxed. He doesn't just have that output. He's not going to bounce off of other individuals, especially other kids, like other kids would bounce off of each other. Because normally, a bunch of kids are around a bunch of kids, and that's the kind of energy that they get, and it's just a constant da-da-da-da. But when you're around people who are older, and more reserved and more calm and relaxed, that's the demeanor that you're going to be used to. Not to mention he's constantly acting or doing this or doing that, and he's like you said, he rarely had time to talk to kids, and it was maybe like a few, and it was rare when he did. So that right there must have been hard to just try to relate and speak to other kids from the perspective of someone who hasn't really spent too much time with other kids, who is kind of mentally at a different place. But you're still a kid. So like you said, you still want to fit in, you still want to make friends. And I could see how wanting to impress people or peer pressure may have affected some of the choices that he made already. I can just tell just based off of what he's saying. Sheesh. All right, Taliesin, let us hear it, man. What's your story?
did it all. They were alien creatures to me, and I had never experienced anything like them, and I was not good at reading social cues or figuring out what was happening. So.
Is that how you think you ended up really ultimately not caring about fitting in? Was after that experience and going, I can't relate to any of these people my age anymore because, my life has looked so different up until this point. At what point did you just say, fuck it, I'm just going to be me? And
That's easy. I was at a boarding school freshman year of high school, and
Did you go to boarding school for all of high school?
Just 1 year. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot of bullying, a lot of
Suspenders?
so many suspenders. It was a rough year, and in the midst of it, I would have what I would call a classical nervous breakdown.
Oh yeah.
This school was in Colorado, so it was this mildly isolated reality, and I had just had the worst goddamn night, and I kind of snapped in the middle of it, and I dragged like one of the chairs out into the snow, and I just had this big breakthrough, and put a little side table next to it and put a radio up and started playing some music and opened up a soda and sat and watched the sunrise and was like, I'm going to stop trying to make this work.
Wow.
I just kind of had this moment of like, I think my problem is that I'm trying to make this work, and I'm just going to stop trying to make myself fit,
Yeah.
and I'm just instead going to be and let the
Ooh.
chips fall where they may, because this is exhausting. And
Bars.
I'm tired, and I'm
Drop the
bleeding,
jewels.
And I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
And if this is going to continue, I'd rather it continue with me doing much less work
Yeah.
to make these people like me and to be something that they like. And I'm instead just gonna, if I'm gonna be awful and like not liked by these people, I'm gonna be not liked for good reasons, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stand by it. And honestly, it like I never had another problem again. The kids woke up in the morning and I was sitting in a chair in my boxers in the snow,
Yeah.
watching the sunrise, drinking.
Doing your
How
own
often do
fucking
you
thing,
think
dude.
about that? Not
Hell
a
yeah.
lot.
I mean, it's
That's some shit out of a movie. Like I like pictured like the mental picture I got was something out of like a portrait painting out of like a museum of like a man sitting in a seat. Like your view as you see it, like you're behind, like we're behind Taliesin at this point, and you see a man, which is Taliesin sitting in a chair. You're looking, your view is you're looking at him from like, you get what I'm trying to say. You see his back, like the back, and in front of him. It's snow is coming down. The ground is like partially like white and gray because of the snowfall. Snow continues to sprinkle down, and you see the sunset. I mean, not the sun. You say the sunset or the sunrise? I forget. But for me, I picture a sunrise. So, just whatever. Whether it's a sunset or a sunrise, that's what you see, and you just see him sitting there with the radio in front, and just there, just taking in the sights. Like that's just, and it's beautiful to have like that. That's like like nobody does that, but I think that's the point. That's what makes him him. Not to say that nobody does that, but I would never think of somebody of that age doing something like that. Especially with like a breakthrough, aha moment. Like I'm gonna go. You know what, man? Screw these people. I'm in my underwear. I'm gonna go outside. Take my drink with me. Take my radio. Boom, put my little chair here, put my table here. Gonna kick my feet up, and I'm just gonna watch the sunrise. Like, it's beautiful, dude. Love that. And I love what he said about not trying to make things work and not trying to fit in. And he came to the realization that he shouldn't be doing that. He should just be. Just be, man. Just be yourself.
That year was the
Hell
worst
yeah.
year I've ever had in my entire life, and this is the measure. It's the diehard of my, like, everyone should have a diehard of, like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, so that when terrible things happen to you, you'd be like, it's not as bad.
Yeah, it's that moment.
It's not as bad as freshman year in high school. Freshman year of high school was really shitty.
Yeah.
And occasionally, like, oh, that's so close to freshman year of high school. That's really bad. But I lived through that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a good sign. And occasionally, really shitty shit happens, but, like, you should have a diehard
Yeah.
to be like, that's the best action movie. That's the action movie by which we judge
Yeah.
all other action films.
Do you agree that it's a Christmas movie?
It is a Christmas movie. Of course, it's a Christmas movie.
Of course,
It's
Die
about
Hard
family
is a
and love
Christmas
and
movie.
friendship.
That makes me feel better.
Who do you know that says that it's not
You
a Christmas
referenced a
movie?
minute ago before you quit.
Mm.
Is that the Baywatch story?
That's the
Tell the
Baywatch.
Baywatch story.
See, this is something you already know. Oh my god, I gotta figure out which stories I haven't told you.
We take a lot of flights together, and I
We
always
do.
just I want all the stories.
I try and have 5 years of good stories banked up with people,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it can
yeah.
keep interesting
Yeah.
for a series of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 13. I want to say I was 13 years old, and I
12 years ago.
yeah, well,
Tuh.
way more than
1200.
it was in the 90s.
1790s.
And I got sent an audition for a character in Baywatch, and the thing that you have to do as a child actor is there's a lot of you have to leave school early. You go on auditions usually 2-3 times a week. You leave school 15 minutes early, 20 minutes early, drive this thing, do this thing. Then you go home and, you know, after you've sucked 2 hours out of your reality doing that, do the rest of your schoolwork and otherwise.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Sounds exhausting.
It's fucking awful. This script was it was a Baywatch character, and it was like, there are people who write children so poorly, and this was awful. I mean, it was just sappy, saccharine. It was a whole weird thing about showering. It was awful. It was awful and was comedically bad.
Yeah.
I know. It was like you're like, and like, yeah, it was a little weird.
Baywatch script. You're telling me
Yeah, I'm
a
thinking of-
Baywatch script that's comedically bad?
It was comedically bad, and like it was supposed to be this very.
I wasn't thinking
like,
that. I was thinking
intense,
about more like the
emotional
Baywatch script
moment,
with the
and, like,
kid,
it was
but
just it was so bad.
Yeah.
And I kept giggling. I couldn't get through it without giggling because it was so dumb to say.
When you're sitting there reading the script?
I'm reading with my dad, and I'm like trying to get through. It's like when he taught me to jump up, and I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
This is so. Hold on. His response to this was, "Well, if you can't take this seriously, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this." And he said
That's
it was
right.
like that intensity.
Yeah,
and it wasn't
that's
meant to be
right.
an aggressive intensity, but he's just a very intense guy.
Yeah.
He's very sure of things. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. That is such a good point. Call my agent. I'm done. I quit.
That was your
Yeah.
epiphany. That
It's
was
like,
Wow.
there are going to be kids in that room who give a fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is insulting to them that I'm sitting here giggling through this shit that could actually like pay for life. No, I shouldn't be. I don't deserve to be in that room.
Yeah.
I want to grow my hair and like do weird shit. And yeah, I'm done.
That was it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm out.
Have you ever regretted that decision?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. You seem too happy to have a regret that would be that heavy.
God, I don't even know if I have any regrets. Do I? I have a few regrets. My regrets are always about saying no to something. They're never about like it's always like the.
So your regrets are, I wish I would have said no to this or that.
I wish I would have said yes.
Yeah.
It's always like things where like I don't know if I'm the best person for that gig, or I don't know if feel like I have enough experience for this thing.
Yeah.
And then I watch the person who does take it just make a shit show of it. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I have a feeling, I've always nourished the suspicion that regrets are, like poison living inside of us. The only thing the regrets that I'll dwell on are if I've treated someone poorly and I regret that behavior.
Oh yeah, well that's fair. And I definitely. Oh, I mean, like anybody who has any basic level of
empathy.
Human decency.
oh, I was going to say mental illness, but
Oh.
one or the
Oh,
other works
all right.
for me.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
hey,
yeah.
Pick
It has
A,
that,
B, or
like,
C,
midnight
man.
thought of, like, oh God, that poor pizza guy that I really treated
Yeah.
poorly back in 1994. I remember every moment of that conversation. Why was I such an asshole?
My drink, my diet doctor. How am I supposed to eat this without my drink? You call yourself a delivery boy? Well, I ain't buying.
Yep.
That pizza guy is alive and watching. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
classic.
He is. He knows who he is.
He knows who he
Yeah.
is. He doesn't. Oh,
He'll never
God.
forget because someone put a ball gag on him when he went to the house to deliver a pizza. He's like, that was the guy. Mohawk man.
Oh, I was like 9. Are you kidding? It was
Mohawk
Bowie
man.
hair at the time.
I want to know what you did to that pizza.
I cut in line and was kind of rude about it and was very demanding, and then he kind of gave me a talking to, which I deserved, and that stuck with me. I was like,
I was someone who could not handle talking tos from adults that weren't
No,
my
it did
parents
not
when
go
I was
well.
a kid. Don't come at me with anything. I'll eat you alive.
I froze until post freak out in junior high in freshman year of
Yeah,
high school,
freshman
and then
year.
I went like full Heathers and was like, fuck it, whoa!
Awesome.
At what point, though,
Executive
in this
goth.
youth, did you become the lord of the underworld? And
Yeah,
start
man.
Getting into the goth scene in LA.
It kind of started in junior high and then it crystallized after freshman year of high school.
Was it because of people that you were around? Was it because of stuff that you were reading? What really?
I was aware of the goth kids in junior high school. I went to a performing arts school that was very.
Oh, that's
it's
Taliesin
comically LA. It's called the Crossroads School for Performing Arts. I mean, everyone.
Sounds very.
It's
Sounds
if
pretty
you're from
eloquent.
LA, you know it, and it's
Yeah.
where the most obnoxious children come from, and I'm definitely part of that crowd.
Yeah.
And it's got a really
Distinguished.
It's got a really good theater department. It's one of those schools where the theater department is given a lot more love and attention than the sports department.
Oh yeah,
and-
that's rare.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
things like if you're in a current theater production, you get to pick a test to just blow. You're like, oh, that Spanish test, I ain't taking it.
Boom. Are you serious?
Wow,
How many of those do
yo,
you get
the
a year?
perks.
Oh.
One, but it's one per for performance. So technically, you can get 3 a year.
Wow.
Wow.
For each of the plays or whatever?
Yes, if you book all 3, which the competition was heavy.
How
That's
long were you at that
fire.
2 years.
school? Okay, so that's where you met some of the people that...
There was it was the goth kids who were going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the time. I was a little young for that reality. I kind of just got in freshman year and was like, this is amazing. And then Jim Henson died, and I wore black to school.
Oh, yeah.
And then never stopped.
I
Didn't
love
stop
that
for-
that's
for
one of the
decades.
big points of connection for that.
It really
Honestly, it
hit
looks
me.
exactly
yeah,
the
because
same.
for you, it's not a phase. it's
Just
a
the hair's
lifestyle.
blonde.
Well, I mean, and it made so much sense. And like there was, if you look at the way that his funeral was handled, it was such a testament to a certain idea of life. And like you couldn't wear black at the funeral.
Yeah, that's what I'd read that. Yeah.
And it was a bit of a party atmosphere, and like this is starting to make a little more sense to me. And oh God, like I'm gonna end one day. This is gonna be over, and there are no guarantees about what the rest of this is going to be, if anything at all. So let's just go with the assumption that you have this allotted amount of time. Let's keep some things in mind and move forward with that assumption. And I'm amazed that anyone cannot have that realization and not immediately delve into deep levels of compassion and pity for the rest of mankind, because this is a shit deal.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And if this is it, God, be nice to people. And just it's all there is, and it's the only thing that would actually go away if we were all wiped out, is just people being nice to each other. It's the only actual thing that human beings accomplish.
Yeah.
And the rest is just shit.
Yeah.
Or just will go. I mean, just everything else just goes away. And again, raised my parents were hippies as well, which I think inevitably leads to a bit of this, because there's a bit of death denial in that culture.
Yeah.
Not strong, but like there's definitely every now and then we have a running gag of we meet Crystal from Ojai, who is our atypical California hippie.
Yeah.
It's Crystal from Ojai.
Yeah.
It's the running gag. There really was a Crystal from Ojai, but she became everybody from Ojai.
Oh, yeah.
And
Now, if you're from Ohio, you're
this
pretty much...
very passive notion of nature, and this very passive notion is very vegan and unhealthy, and this nature is so beautiful, and we're like, nature is beautiful, and it is wonderful. It is also, and this is a thing that I'm actually playing with in my character right now, is the natural state of life is that most things on planet Earth live a life of starvation and terror and hunger and die violently.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nature.
Yeah, many species spend their whole day trying not to get eaten by another species.
Almost everything on planet
Exactly.
Earth, or is so hungry, is desperately trying to find enough food to make it through the day. That is, and then if they do find it,
Yep.
it's great for one more day, and if not, they get caught by something else that's trying to eat them, and then it's just over painfully.
Yep.
I mean, like,
And we have it pretty good.
there's a grimness to this, but there's a certain, if anything, I think it definitely is something that can, this is what human beings bring to the world, is that we've kind of started to get rid of that.
Yeah.
If there's one thing civilization has managed, is that we're no longer, at least some of us, or at least have broken this cycle, and we're hopefully can get everybody else out of this cycle.
Yeah.
So,
What age were you at when you were having these realizations? The Jim
15.
Henson thing? 15.
the Jim Henson started at 13, and it was about 15 when I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to lean into who I am
Yeah.
and let the chips fall where they may.
Did you find other people that, because that's a young age,
Instantly.
in my opinion, to be having a lot of those realizations
It
and
was very
thinking
young.
about a lot of those things? Because when I was that age, I was like, where am I going to get a dime
Well, and I
bag
was-
and new wheels
I
for
was
my
already
skateboard?
going. I mean, like,
Where am I gonna get a
growing up with
dime
people
bag
in
and my
the 50s, 60s, I was
wheels?
trying to go to funerals. I was watching
Oh,
people
yeah.
who were huge influences
Gotta
in
get a
my
new
life as a
deck.
child. I mean,
Gotta
like,
get a new deck.
I've been to a
Remember
lot of
tech
funerals,
decks?
and
Yeah.
almost everybody who knew me before the age of 30 is dead now.
Wow.
Most of my experiential friends, and not all of them, but an enormous number of them they were old.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
So it's interesting
partied hard.
because, yeah, they've lived full lives, really.
Mhm.
But growing up with those kind of influences in your life, I can tell from knowing you, and you can see the benefit of that. I think it also helped you, like we talked about, avoid a lot of those pitfalls that child actors end up.
It was nice knowing happy people in their 60s. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good to see, like, okay, whatever the fuck you did seemed to work out okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was have money, but
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
working on some
Lessons,
days. Some
yeah.
years better than others.
Yeah, true. So you found people immediately that were sort of at that same place as you were around that
I
age?
went to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was very helpful at that time, and most of my experiences there were very positive. Obviously, everybody has some negative experiences in that kind of environment, but I met a reasonable amount of like-minded, reasonable people who were looking to do something a little off the beaten path, whatever that was, and that was very helpful. And some of those people I'm still friends with today. I mean, it's been 25 years, and I still know where they are. They still know where I am. And
That's
do things
beautiful,
together.
man.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know if it's
It's
still
tough to
such
do
a-
to
such a
keep
good
to
place
keep
find people
friendships
like that,
for
but
that
definitely at
long,
the
man,
time,
and
it was a revelation.
it takes effort.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's where a lot of the goth kids coming out of LA and the Valley came through, and we definitely kind of met the people when I started moving out and living on not quite on my own, but with roommates in Los Angeles, because I don't know how anyone lives on their own in LA. It's so
Yeah,
expensive.
it's expensive and it's hard. It's a hard city to live in alone. Yeah.
Some of my best friends came out of that.
You're somebody that always has a strong sense of community. So
That's
I'm
healthy.
listening to you. Yeah, I'm listening to you talk about your family situation was a community, a fucking crazy, awesome one, but
Very
still
great,
a
and
community.
amazing people who are always. I got to meet amazing people, and I got to spend time and have conversations with just strikingly intelligent, brilliant people who have done good work. I got to meet Terry Southern. I got to meet fucking. Like so many.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Roddy McDowell came.
Oh yeah,
from
Roddy was around a
dubbing
lot.
for you, it was crazy.
Tuesday Welds was around a lot. I got to meet, spend time with Elizabeth Taylor and Gregory
Yeah.
Peck, and
Oh,
I'll also
shit.
say, well, they were my grandparents took them to New York for a few weeks at one point, and they were like, they were very specific. And they were like, we're going to give you an experience out here because we want you to imprint this, because this is the goal. This is the life we want you to have available to you, and so you're going to spend several weeks, and what I would do is during the day I would go out with them, and we would like George Plimpton, and
Wow.
would go to the museums and have and meet at the Gershwins, for God's sake. I mean, we'd go to these lavish, interesting parties.
Yeah.
And then at night I would go out in goth club and
Wow.
get
Best of
wasted.
both worlds.
wasted
Get lost in the
in
sauce.
Manhattan and Brooklyn. Yeah, it was very much. They were like, this is. I just want to imprint this for you as the goal.
Yeah.
And this is the community you want to build. This is the life you want to have.
Yeah.
They were very good about that.
Yeah, you went from family community to you had this also community of older people in and out of the business that were, speaking to your life, and then you had found at a time of real transition in your life,
Yeah.
the community of goth kids.
Well, and my grandparents had lifelong friends, and my grandmother was still friends with her friends from high school and college, and my grandfather a little less so, but he had his work friends, and his work friends, the people he had worked with and partied with when he was a big partier at the time, were good lifelong people and took care of each other. So it was
you
a
had that good
model.
example set for you. Yeah.
It's that's where I want to be in my 60s.
Yeah, same.
Dude,
You'll be
same,
fine.
honestly.
You know everybody, and everybody loves you.
I just need to get the Malibu beach house and everything.
Yeah, well,
The Colony. Gotta get a place in the Colony.
I would offer to help you with that, but I've been busted for credit card fraud so many times. I don't know
Oh.
how much money I'll be able to.
Colony's
Sheesh.
amazing. That is the one time I've been in an unbelievably swank rich neighborhood and been like, I would live here. This is really nice. Every other one I'm like, this is a little pretentious and bullshit. And I went there. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Neighbors would see you moving in and call the cops immediately.
I got to stay. I got to take some of my unscrupulous friends to the Colony a couple times and stay in a beach house for the weekend. It was the best shit. It was the best shit.
I can't imagine the amount of SPF 9000 you must have to put on to lay out at a beach house.
Well, it
you
was-
sleep in a coffin every night.
Well,
Right?
I mean, I've got
SPF
several spread out
9000.
across the city. You gotta. When you're from Venice,
It's like checkpoints. You know what I mean? He's got little checkpoints where he's gotta lay in the coffin for a bit, recharge, and come back out.
you just move that. That's dirt that's easy to get a hold of.
That's true.
No, I guess for people who don't know, the Colony is a set of 200 houses in a private in a gated
Enclosed,
community.
Yeah, community.
And those houses are almost all rentals, and they usually are rented to people who are disturbingly rich.
Yeah,
And
Beyonce rich.
Yeah, I saw Sting down there once. It's very much that kind of.
Sheesh,
Sounds like the
Sting.
kind of a place Sam Riegel would hang out.
Yeah, that's why we don't go
That's
there
why we
anymore.
don't go.
I was trying to who was in that time? trying to. Oh, it was
Gary Busey.
no. Oh, I once, but no.
I met Gary Busey.
I met
once.
Gary Busey once
It
too.
was,
At a weird
cool.
New Age,
Enough. It
New
was-
Age event.
Yeah, it was enough.
Also in Malibu.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's over there.
No, it was Walter Matthau's house. It was,
Oh,
it was
really?
Walter and Carol Matthau.
Him,
Was
I
he
don't
still
know.
alive at the time?
Oh, yes. He and
You
his
got to
wife
hang
both.
out with him?
I knew him pretty well.
And Gregory Peck?
Oh yeah, I knew a lot of people.
That's
Things-
crazy.
I know it was phenomenal. It was a great reality that makes no goddamn sense anymore.
No, it doesn't. And I feel like there's so many legends back then. I do wonder about, who are the legends of our time that we'll talk about that way.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh yeah. He had
Oh,
a
I was
player
at
piano
Matthew
out there.
McConaughey's house when I was 16.
Well,
It
all
was
right.
It was a backyard wrestling tournament that day at his house.
Hey man, you got a joint? It'd be a
So
lot
you
cooler
decide to
if you
quit After
did.
Baywatch happens.
It's so fucking
Almost-
true.
Although I'm upset that I can't go into YouTube and search
I can remember that
Taliesin
moment
Jaffe,
so well.
Baywatch.
I remember everything in that moment of like, no, I'm out. That's
It's
right.
a good one to end on.
I can say I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Shit.
But what did you do between quitting that and then deciding, okay, I still want to act, but I want to do voiceovers attractive?
I didn't want to be in voiceover. I had a friend at the time, Nick DeBar. He was really into anime, and we would watch it together. And we had a few other friends who kind of were in our anime nerd club. I still talk to a couple of them, Ricky Simons and Tavisha Wolk. A few of them
Yeah.
went into the business and make comic books now.
Yeah.
And I just got really, again, like my brain that was really into the idea of how do you break this down, how do you make this work, got obsessed with figuring out how to do this.
Mm.
And so I made a demo. I made that demo with Roddy McDowell
Yeah.
of this VO dub, and after shopping that around for a while, someone took pity on me and let me direct a few really low,
Obscure.
deeply obscure anime dubs for Pioneer Entertainment, and
Hmm.
I slowly kind of built a reputation as the weird guy who does the weird shit. So as my stuff definitely
As
sounded
as you
different than
do
everybody else's,
when you're
'cause I was
Taliesin.
approaching it from a very different place.
Because you think that was influenced by how big of a fan you were of the.
It was influenced because I was coming at it.
I think, by the way, just on the topic of not necessarily Taliesin being weird, but just the weird in anime, I think to this day, the weirdest anime, as far as like the premise, the protagonist. I haven't seen every anime in the world, so maybe there's a weirder one. If you know one, you can recommend it, and I'll give it a watch. But Bo. Yeah. What was that? What was that? Okay. What the? Why? You know what I mean? I mean, why not? I guess would be the answer, but shit.
From a technical acting standpoint of like why are these performances not landing, or what is it that feels off about this, the things that people are complaining about, what they're oftentimes when you see people complain about something in a film, what they're complaining about is not what they think they're complaining about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Of like if you're saying like this performance, the beats here are really weird, you're not complaining about the acting, you're complaining about the editing.
So when I say that I absolutely hate Ben Affleck and Batman versus Superman,
You're
what
an
saying
you're
is
an
that
asshole is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well, we
There's
knew that going
no
in.
amount of editing can fix that. Feel bad.
So then you're directing. So then how do you end up getting on the other side of them?
Honestly, just occasionally because I hire somebody who can't quite do it, and
You'd
I
have to step in.
start stepping in, and then at some point I start doing it in other shows, and it just is sort of a slow roll. And you direct long enough, and you should pick up how this works.
Right. Yeah.
And I do eventually. And I was an actor, and I was trained, and I was I've done theater, and I was still doing like a little bit of theater on the side, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I can make a living doing this, but this is fun, and I like it, and it's low key, and I can fuck up my hair, and I don't have to do. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you normally have to do for on-camera acting that I don't have to do here. So it's the stuff I like about acting, and it was part of it with the acting was also I knew I was never really going to be the guy on a horse in full armor doing like dumb shit. Like,
Probably not. Yeah.
I was like, I'm aware of the kind of parts I'm going to play. I don't want to play those parts.
Yeah.
I'm kind of done. But I get to be the guy in the armor on the horse now.
Exactly. Did part of you miss the actual acting that you did as a child? Was it like you enjoyed that? You enjoyed the performance art aspect of it. You didn't care for
celebrity and a lot of the stuff that people get hung up on as a child actor, but did you miss playing characters and really embodying somebody else?
Good question.
I missed making interesting decisions and having. I mean, but I loved writing, and I got a lot out of that, although very little of it.
I feel like you can make interesting decisions voice acting, with how you want to deliver the line. You get so many different, what's the word, factors, I guess, when it comes to line delivery, that you can just have a good time. I'm sure with each line, there's a tone, a general tone that needs to be conveyed, um, for plot consistency or whatever, character consistency. But as far as you being able to just really just go crazy and mess around with your voice, I feel like there's a lot of decision making that goes into that as well.
I think I wrote, I ever got produced.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to
Well,
both, I
it's a
think.
pile of good D&D characters.
Some of them could still come out.
Yeah, they do. And directing is really
Foreshadowing.
I miss right now. I really miss directing.
Really?
I love. I mean, like,
Do you like the collaborative aspect of it with working with other people? Do you like shaping something from page to screen?
I love actors. Actors are the fucking best.
You're the anti-George Lucas.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, in Poor George is like this, but like a lot of directors I meet these days don't have the slightest fucking clue how actors work or what to do. They're just like, and act.
Yeah.
I'm like, say it like this, and then you're like, oh Lord.
Give you
almighty.
line reads versus, yeah.
And being able, and like I've had so many actors, like I've been in a booth with people and we've been workshopping something and getting it working. I've had so many actors just have that moment of, what the fuck is that? Oh my God, that's so interesting. Can we do that? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And found so much. It's such a thrill finding something with somebody in that way and finding something new in
I mean, shit, if you really think about it, directing in a movie is no different, or directing, movie, show, whatever, is no different than directing a campaign when you're playing D&D as a DM, There's a lot of similarities there. There's some overlap. So I could definitely see why he would take to that as well.
Oh God, this is so crafty.
Definitely
This is so behind
seems
the
like
voice
him.
actor.
Tell me now.
Like
So,
he seems like he's the
one of the
type.
things I love is script readings, and I would
He'd be
sometimes
pretty
write
good at it.
something, and then poor Lauren Travis. Was it Lauren Travis got to go to my script reading ages ago for some pilot I wrote that I was very proud of. Never got made.
Is it on tape?
No, I actually maybe. I took him to this weird house in Malibu. It was great.
You keep taking people to weird houses.
What I do.
Yet they all keep coming out alive. It's so weird, but I wonder how transformed they are in the process.
I'm getting better. One day I'll lose one.
Hopefully it's not me.
But yeah, I had this script that I wrote, and I had this character, and I had an actor come in and sat down and read what I wrote and found something in it that I hadn't seen. And I've never had, and like watching an actor take a script, read it, and then as a writer going, well, I have to go rewrite everything now because you just changed. I don't even know if you're going to be the person who plays this part, but you just fucking changed everything.
Yeah.
Because whatever it is that you brought is so interesting and was here that I missed.
Yeah.
It's that collaboration. It's finding things in people. It's bringing people on emotional journeys. It's just I love watching people sculpt these things, especially people who really.
You know what? And I will say that's like a testament to his ability as a director. If nothing else, he allows for that free form kind of back and forth brainstorming, like genuine brainstorming between himself and the people who may be portraying these characters. And when you allow somebody the freedom to look at things a certain way, or really just genuinely just say, look at that, do with it what you will, and we'll just talk. And when they find stuff like that you didn't catch, that's what you want. Like, you don't want to be so controlling that it just restricts any of the any new information that can be learned, or any new ways of going about creating whatever show, movie, character, scenario you're trying to create. I think that's like super important, to be able to, like, to be humble enough to genuinely want that kind of a back and forth, and to allow that kind of a back and forth between you and your performers as a director. I don't know shit about filmmaking or anything, but I'm just saying, just from the outside looking in, as someone who's just talking about it, like just thinking about it, I feel like that'd be the most important thing. And I feel like sometimes, and if any of you guys are into acting, you can let me know if I'm onto something or if I'm not. But I feel like when things go wrong, a lot of the times it may not necessarily be the fault of the actors, but it may also fall on the directors. Whether it is not allowing for that genuine back and forth, or whether if you are restricting your actor and the methods and their methods that they can use, and you're restricting and kind of limiting their toolkit, so to speak.
Good at it. I love watching young actors get better. I love watching people get better at things. I love watching.
That's beautiful.
It's just
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's
I could spend my-
fulfilling.
That's how you should be as a director.
What's your favorite voiceover performance you've done?
I'm a nerd. I got to play the Flash in
yeah.
Injustice
Oh.
2. That's
Oh shit,
play a superhero any fucking time. I love superheroes.
that's cool.
I play so many games where a villain comes up, and I think to myself, they should have gotten Taliesin.
I love
for this
playing
part.
villains. I love playing villains. So
Yeah,
much.
because I feel like the way you approach characters is,
I love writing villains.
yeah, and the way you approach a character is, okay, here's the sort of usual tropes, or here's what people would expect from someone who is this, looks like this, sounds like this, etc. I'm going to remove all those pieces and then add in a lot of unexpected
Oh yeah, I
things.
love. I mean, like I get obsessed with it.
Super
Like,
playful.
there's definitely some. There's some auditions I've turned in that have definitely been like, I'm never gonna get hired, but man, incredible.
But you wanted to
It
make
was
a
so
choice.
Fucking yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I made some choices, motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You asked for choices, you got them. Like,
They're
whoa.
probably at home listening to it going, what is this?
What the
But
fuck is
you're
this shit?
happy
I'm
with
like,
it.
ah,
Yeah.
I know this character better than you do.
Speaking of, how does that? So the voiceover community is also another. So you're jumping from community to community,
Oh,
community
yeah.
throughout your life. The voiceover community is a very small, tight knit group in Los Angeles. It's everybody pretty much knows each other.
take care of each
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we see a lot of the same people, a lot of the same stuff that we go to, and definitely a group that looks out for each other.
Yes.
And then that's how you end up meeting some of the people that end up on Critical Role with you and starting in that home game.
I'd like to think I have an eye for talent. One of the other things I used to do is I was a casting director. My mother was a casting director. I was a casting assistant for a
And your
while.
mother was an actor.
Damn, so you had a
She was
little
an
bit
acting
of
coach, manager, casting director,
understanding
she worked
of
a lot.
Yeah.
what that might have
last thing
entailed.
was a high school theater teacher
Wow.
in her retirement.
She had a lot of eccentric clothing choices from her kids she had to support.
Well,
financially.
we had needs, all of us. But I've been in voiceover longer than just about everybody in Critical, and then longer than anybody in Critical Role. So I got
Yeah.
to watch.
Mm.
I
Damn.
got to watch Matt Mercer happen. I got to watch Laura and Travis happen. I got to watch Sam and Liam happen. I less got to watch Ashley happen because she was happening in a different corner of my reality.
Were you working in Dallas around the same time that Travis and Laura were starting up over there?
So-
Because I know you had met them.
So they had kind of they were both already kind of conquering. I ended up in Dallas for a year. I got I'm very good friends with a director out there who's now out here named Chris Bevins, who
Yeah.
was kind of one of the more experimental directors out at Funimation. And I was kind of in a weird place in my life at that moment. I didn't really know what I was doing, and he was like, we picked up this show called Beck. I'm like, I know Beck. Beck's a great show. I pity the poor fucker that has to dub that. That thing's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like,
The
wanna
hell
come
is
do it?
Beck?
Okay.
I don't
And
know
so
what that is.
packed my life into my car, drove to Dallas, and lived on Clarion Harp's couch for a year,
Wow.
dubbing
Damn.
one of the most pleasant dubbing experiences of my life was dubbing Beck
Beck.
Marley and Chop Squad, and that's where I met Laura and Travis and Troy and just Brina Plant. Just a huge
Wow.
talent
Yeah.
pool out there of really talented people.
Yeah.
And then when Laura and Travis on that show, I met them both while I was out there. But when they made the move to LA, I cast them or pushed to have them cast in the Street Fighter games.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of a like, oh god, we have these people. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Jesus.
And then Sam's been around, Liam's been around.
Sam
for
and
so
Liam.
long, too.
Well, I got Liam's demo tape. It was a VHS demo tape when he was first moving out here.
Do you still have it?
Somewhere, yeah. It's amazing.
Nice.
It's cuts of an anime called Boogie Pop Phantom, which is
Whoa.
Boogie Pop Phantom.
very good.
I can imagine.
Heard of it?
They both
Haven't
were very
seen it, though.
talented.
Yeah.
I think Crispin Freeman gave me their demos, and then I hired them both to be in a cartoon that I'm very proud of called ROD the TV,
Oh yeah.
where they played brothers, who they were unnamed brothers in the first 2 episodes, and we just in the script called them Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. So,
Yeah, of course.
but they were both phenomenal, and I was a very big fan. I was a very big fan of Liam's Boogie Pop Phantom. I thought he
Yeah.
was horrifically talented at the time.
Then you get invited to this home game that is now this sort of, you know, nerd culture phenomenon. Who would have ever thought?
I had already been playing for a couple of years with
Yeah.
Matt because he had a different home game.
Different game.
Oh, nice.
A few other show busy
With-
types and friends.
Yeah, it was a slightly less VO and more eclectic group, and it was a good game. It was a lot of fun. Different kind of game. He also was co-DMing, which was an interesting-
Co-DMing.
I really enjoyed it.
Wait, you can have multiple DMs? Dude, that game is so complex, dude. Jeez.
Yeah.
It meant that NPCs could have long conversations with each other.
Oh yeah.
Which was always all the players would just be going.
I guess we'll
Yep,
go to
this
the
is-
bathroom.
this is
right
happening.
now. Yeah.
The NPCs argued. That was a very fun game, and that hopped around for quite a long while. And then, yeah, this game I was literally, while I knew everybody involved, I was literally called in. It's like, we need somebody to be a ringer. It was very much you know the rules. You can make sure that no one does anything. You can make it's not that worried that anyone would do anything stupid. It's just to remind everybody that how the game is played.
Yeah, another person there to encourage people in the right direction. Yeah.
Like because the only 2 people who really knew how to play were me and Marisha, so we were kind of
Yeah.
push in the right direction.
You were only really would consider yourself close to sort of just Matt and Marisha. At the
Matt and
time,
Marisha I was
right?
very close with at the time. I was very friendly with everybody else.
Yeah.
But we were just sort of different.
Not a real family like
No.
everyone is now.
No, Matt and I were very, very close and had been friends for quite a while. And then when Marisha got brought into the group, she is the fucking best. So
Yeah.
it was very easy to be like, oh, new best friend. Ah,
Yeah.
we like you.
Yeah.
We were a little at first, and then it was. I miss having a room to bring everybody into. Like I miss
for,
people being brought into a private room.
Yeah, for
and
the
like, I wonder
whispers.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Or like when that one time Travis got transported to the Feywild, and we're like, we still don't know what the fuck happened. He was like out in the living room. Like,
Yeah, for 20 minutes you guys just
Fucking
ate
amazing.
artichoke dip.
Yeah, I got in the previous game. I gotten pulled in one. Me and our friend Chloe had been pulled into like the realm of Asmodeus, and we're fighting demons. Where like the rest of the group were like eating Doritos and doing fuck all. Like,
Nice.
Everyone's checking Twitter. Yeah.
this shit is insane.
You miss the home game vibe where it's a little bit more, there's less pressure because you don't, when you go home from a home game, you don't have
I don't know if people notice this online. I do my best to kind of ignore
Yeah.
the outside world.
Yeah.
I don't tweet a ton. I'm not on Twitter a lot. I'm not. I don't want to say I ignore the cameras because I don't. They're there, but I definitely treat the cameras as like a friend sitting in the room, and I don't. It's like every now and then I will like acknowledge that they're there and be like, "This shit,
Yeah.
it's crazy," but like I'm not really interacting with it, and I miss some of the food. The food was
buffalo chicken dip that Laura would make.
that cream
I
cheese,
remember
that
that
Buffalo
cranberry cream
cheese.
cheese.
Yeah.
It was just like breakfast.
Buffalo chicken.
I miss the all-day games.
Boneless wings,
Yeah,
man.
the marathon brunch games. Yeah.
Yeah, and I miss being brought into the other room. Otherwise, I feel like we've held
Maintained. Yeah.
On. I feel like it's maintained pretty fucking well.
How that actually leads into what I was wondering about. How the success of the show has seemed to only make everyone closer. It's like everyone went, we have no idea what's happening. We didn't plan on this. We don't really know how to navigate these waters. Whatever we do, we have to make sure this thing stays as pure and as
I think any
close to
D&D
the
game,
original.
any
yeah.
good D&D game will bring people closer if you're doing it
Right.
this way. So.
Yeah, it's an analog adventure, sort of in a digital.
But I'm
world, right?
always. I know a lot of. God, I know a lot of people. and I know a lot of people pretty well. And my theory is I call the orbital theory, which is that you're only really capable just through the sheer amount of, there's only so many hours in the goddamn week that you can be super, super close to only so many people. It's maybe five or six people you can be really, really close to.
Yeah.
You just, there's not enough time to be that close to more people.
Right.
And then you can be pretty close to like another 10.
Mm.
And then you can be okay friends with like another 10. And then there's a bunch of people you know who you're very fond acquaintances of. And that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that. And then every now and then somebody in that close orbit is going to zoom to the outer orbit or otherwise for reasons that are beyond our control. And suddenly there's a vacuum and then somebody from the outer orbit. And so I have I've always through my life had people in the outer orbit. And like one day we're gonna spend some time. It's gonna be fucking great.
Yeah.
We're gonna have like 2 years where we're really fucking close, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I don't know when that day is gonna be.
Yeah.
But like, there's tons of people who are like you're just waiting for that.
You can just
for
see the
right moment.
potential,
I'm gonna
man.
be seeing you twice
Yeah.
a week. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. And with you guys, it's interesting because we all spend so much time together
Yeah.
now. And it's funny because people will ask when you get back from a convention and when you get back from, a trip or something, and it's like, are you guys all sick of each other yet? And I always tell them, no, I feel like we get closer every time we go somewhere because
Yeah.
we're all sort of figuring out how to navigate this thing one step at a time. We're all figuring it out together. But there's such a, like with you have these pillars, you have these core things about you that will never change, thankfully.
No, they're very solid.
And I feel like with the show and with the group, I haven't seen anyone budge on any of those things, and that's why I think everyone has remained so close.
No, and most of us have experienced some modicum of fame, and before the game even started, so we kind of knew what we were in for. I did the fame thing when I was a teenager with Mr. Mom in 2010 and the acting, and I got all illusions of that out of the way, and,
Yeah.
and got a sense of like, oh no, this is the bad part of the work.
Right.
Well, not bad, but this is
not the
this
highlight.
Is not the good part of the work. I
Right.
suppose,
Yeah.
The better answer. This is
Yeah.
not the thing that's fulfilling. This is the thing that's exhausting. And here are the ways that you can make it delightful, and here are the ways that you can make it positive. But this is not the reward. The reward lies elsewhere. If you think this is the reward, you're going to get it's like eating the packaging of the food. It's really pretty. Someone worked very hard on it, but you're not supposed to consume the damn shit.
Yeah, the rewards and the relationship.
What an interesting analogy.
The rewards in the work and the people you're doing the work with, and the reward is in the best work, and again the people directly in there, and then anything else is you can make the best of it, and it's phenomenal knowing that everyone is enjoying this and is touched by this, and that there's good that can come out of this, but it should never be the point.
Yeah. The focus.
And you should
Right.
never you can't think about it. You can't make that the point, because then you get weird.
Yeah.
And I've watched people get weird. I mean, like it's a thing that happens. I got plenty of friends who cracked.
Yeah.
And if you can do it right, it's very grounding and very positive. But
It
a
happens
lot
all
of
the
people don't
time.
understand what the cost of it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's a fair cost, but it is a cost.
But it is a cost, yeah. I have seen everyone grow
Oh yeah.
since the
It's
show
been so
even
good.
started.
It's been so good for my work.
Yeah, what have you learned about role playing and about improv and about sort of acting and when to
I've learned that improv is actually useful for something.
Yeah,
Which is something
yeah.
I did not believe.
right more, yeah, unless you're going to a improv sports
Oh, it is
dinner
the,
theater.
it is
yeah.
the fly paper of acting. And it's like, oh, this is fun. I can do this forever. And you're like, oh God, I'm still at the improv 20 years later. What
Yeah,
happened to my
that's
life?
true, yeah.
Improv is one of those skills that like is good to develop. It's very useful, but a lot of people decide that's everything that there is and then never leave. Which
Yeah.
it's a weird like little lotus flower.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, I've become a better actor. I've gotten faster on my feet. It's sharpened my skills. It's made me think about character. I've already thought about character, and now I think about character much more strongly.
What do you
It's helping my
think?
writing.
Yeah, in what way?
Watching the natural flow of events that happens when you have creative people just moving a story forward has given me a better sense of how to move story forward and how to let people be people. And
Especially
it's-
if that's
and also
something
just-
if that's something he likes, you know. coming from somebody who liked taking on that role of a director, I could definitely see him appreciating like those aspects and sharpening his skills in that way. Uh, so that's awesome that it actually helped him with that, with something that he truly enjoys, like a facet of the game that he truly enjoys. So that's so cool.
It's watching very, very different minds be clever and be funny and be interesting.
And make
always...
mistakes.
Oh yeah, mistakes are. I mean,
some of the funniest.
That's all that good fiction is mistakes. It's like
Yeah.
no one wants to read the story of somebody who did everything right all the time.
Yeah.
That's dull.
No, that's
Yeah.
boring. You create memorable characters, and I'm thinking about just in the D&D world alone, we've talked so much about Percy, we've talked so much about Molly, and now Caduceus is on the scene. How important is it for you? You know, we talked before about how Molly really resonated with a lot of people, and
Yes.
how I said that was a testament to your heart and personality that you put into characters. How important is it for you to go, I want this person to have some of my qualities, or
Molly
if I'm playing a character,
must be
I want
somebody
it to
new.
be a completely isolated and separate person.
I don't believe in isolated and separate people. So there's Percy definitely has a lot of me in him.
Meaning anything that you will play or that you will create will inevitably have something of you.
We're complicated mechanisms, human beings, and there's a lot of Percy came from questions about myself, and a lot of Percy came from Percy was originally a script.
Yeah, I remember you saying
and
that.
It was
Wow.
a question I kind of asked metaphorically that kind of turned into a character that kind of grew from there. And but I
What
wouldn't.
questions about yourself did he come from?
Well, what a
What is the
question!
person
What a
in the
great
bargain that
question!
I can love and relate to, that when offered, I can give you this thing to satisfy a very base feeling in you, and in return, 10,000 people you'll never meet are going to die.
Wow.
And it was very much the I want to find a person I can love who can say yes to that. And he was kind of the beginning of a person. In the original story that I wrote was very much I'm consigning the future to this inevitable negativity in return for my own personal satisfaction.
Wow.
It was much more flowy in the time, and then for Percy it became how do I make this a person that how do I find a positive resolution for this character? And my belief for a long time was that there is none. It's like once you have somebody who makes this decision, very much in the same way like Nobel being a good example of somebody who did something fucking terrible, and the repercussions of which we are still living with, and sure anybody could have done it and anybody would, but
not unredeemable.
well, and that's the question: is he unredeemable?
Yeah.
Is a person like this? At what point? What is the redemption, and where does that come from, and where does peace come from once you know that you have fucked up that badly? And when you know that you're a person who, in that moment, will make the wrong call, it was really interesting, and I couldn't believe that I found a resolution for it.
Yeah.
But then with Molly was never going to change. That was not a character looking for anything. That was a character who Percy was Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Who was like, I'm a fuck up. I need to find some resolution to myself. Molly was Captain America, which was that the world is going to have to resolve itself around me.
Right.
I'm never going to change. This is not what Captain America does. Captain America forces the world to contort around him until it breaks.
Yeah.
Of this is how a person acts.
Yeah.
And very much in the Priscilla Queen of the Desert vein, it was going to be this. No! No! Every goddamn moment.
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to seeing how many situations I could get to and just going no!
Yeah.
No! Fuck off!
Yeah.
And Caduceus is very similar, where it's going to be, although since I was rushed.
Damn, all these
right,
characters.
I'm still trying to figure him out, but he's a lot of the same questions and just from the opposite direction. So I think he's got shit kind of figured out, and so it's going to be him forcing the world to contort to him.
Interesting.
In a similar way.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a character looking for anything, but a character instead who's just going to warp the world around him as opposed to be warped by the world.
What do you start with? Do you start with ideas? Do you start with bonds? Do you start?
My man
and I'm not
Brian
talking
coming with the great
in
questions,
the traditional
man.
sense,
Percy
but
started with a
as-
script.
Well,
Molly
right.
Molly started with a friend of mine, a friend of mine named Burning Dan. Who,
Yeah.
is a fascinating cat you can read about online. Who was sadly passed on as well, but was a friend of mine who kind of at a certain age he was an IT guy, and then at a certain age he was like, this is bullshit, and just threw it all away, and started over and became imaginary in this very complicated way.
Yeah.
And it was fun and fascinating to watch, and it was really interesting watching this person sort of become a minor deity in his own reality.
And he was a big influence on Molly.
He was a huge influence. I mean, there were several people who were a huge influence on Molly. He was definitely one of the. He was the brightest of them. There were a few other darker friends of mine who were very creative people, who were very passionate and very. It's my polite way of saying they slept around a lot.
Yeah.
Appropriately.
Passionate.
But who
Promiscuous
were
would be a good word
tortured
too,
by
but
that, and definitely didn't do as well in emotionally from that. And then a few of my friends who were also going through similar awakenings of emotional self. A lot of him came from that that nervous breakdown in high school. Very much the just fucking do it and it'll be fine. And there are things about that character I still can't talk about because they made.
Yeah, I know. That's
But-
interesting. It's funny to me because I remember talking to you about Percy and some of the people in your life too that influenced that character, and a lot of people will approach a character they create and they'll draw from. If you ask them some of the influences or some of the people or characters that they thought about when creating a character, they'll reference other fictional characters and examples.
Yeah.
For you, it's always people that have been in your life
it's
or
real
that have
people.
passed through
Always
at some
real
point,
people.
or that you still have a part of your life.
I'm not as interested in fictional people. Yeah, people are far more interesting and more complicated, and someone hasn't sat and deciphered them already. They're a little more mysterious than fictional people,
Right.
and
A lot more unpredictable.
yeah, and you can start to get these kind of. You can learn a lot from it. I don't know. I definitely. I learned a lot from Percy.
damn, that's crazy. Learning a lot from your own character and your own creation. That's such an interesting way of creating your character too, because I've always imagined a fictional character when thinking about someone new and thinking about how they were created. But what he said makes so much sense, that real people haven't quite been deciphered in that way. And they are all truly unique. And there's a lot of layers there that you can draw from. That's damn. That's so interesting. I'm gonna remember that.
What makes you comfortable in saying, I'm ready to start playing this character? What attributes do they need to have?
This is so actor wanky.
Give it to me. Wank it all
It's
over
gonna
me.
be so
Wank it
wanky.
everywhere. Everywhere
we
wank
have,
it.
we have towels.
Do we?
And
Really?
Max.
We have straps of leather at Max.
We have straps of leather
There's
and
little
Max.
chunks of leather.
It
back
sounds
there.
like it's going to be a good afternoon.
It's gonna be a party. I like having a fundamental question of like what is this person looking for? What's this person lost, or how is this person broken? Or what do I want to? I mean, like I remember when my grandfather died, I was very lost, and the phrase that popped up several times is, "I don't know who I'm impressing anymore," and I didn't know what to do. I was very, very depressed.
Was it important for you to have someone to impress?
I didn't.
in that
Well, I
way?
didn't know it. I mean, I didn't know. The human mind is mysterious and filled with pitfalls. And thankfully, I've had many opportunities in my life to be reminded that I do not know my own mind.
Well, so many of our actions are subconscious.
They are, and it's one thing to know that, and it's another thing to have it proved to
To
yourself.
have it, yeah.
And I've had several wonderful opportunities to be proven. Like, you do not know the depths of whatever is. There's an ocean, and there's shit happening down there, and there's some fucking Loch Ness monster shit, and
Yeah.
you just got to be prepared for what's that Johnny Cash on The Beast in Me?
Yeah.
There's like shit's gonna go down sometimes, and you're not gonna be ready for it, and you're not gonna know where it came from, but I assure you it's in you. Yeah, and it definitely I've dealt with a lot of death, and I don't want to say I'm used to the process, but I know what it feels like. And I know how to cope with it. pretty successfully, and I definitely was not prepared for this apathy.
Wow.
Intense, like, what's the fucking point anymore? I've got to figure out what the point is, because I was apparently trying to show off, and I didn't know that, but apparently I was. And
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
there's nothing to.
There's a void there.
Yeah. There's no audience. What's the fucking point?
So how did you end up finding a way to overcome or combat that feeling and that sentiment of needing to impress? I feel like it comes with an understanding of accepting who you are. And
It's
that
all
there isn't a
internal.
need to.
Yeah, it's that moment of it's a mix of a couple things. It's one, and this is so trite, but it's irritatingly true, which is you have to internalize all these processes. You have to get really good at being your own audience. You have to be really good at being your own judge of what's interesting and what's worthwhile. And the less emotional work that you can farm out to things outside of yourself, the less likely they are to be interfered with by
Yeah.
things that you cannot control.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good advice.
So yeah, it's Harry Potter did it well. It's what's it called, the things that Voldemort had,
Horcruxes.
little
I'm only on the third book.
whack. It's literature. Read it. No, but
I'm
like,
working on it. I'm
I
busy.
love that metaphor, because he's a character who is put aspects of himself out externally, which means that, like, there's these things that are giving him a whole bunch of energy that are outside of himself, but it also means they're all really fucking vulnerable to a bunch of kids coming over and going, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's true. That is such a good metaphor. Like, if he had just absorbed all that shit, there would have been nothing anybody could do, but he had externalized all this shit.
You can only do that so much before you're spread too thin.
Well, and
emotionally.
it just makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
If you're that concerned with what people think of you, the stranger can come up to you and just say something to you, and that can ruin you. That's, I mean, that's so.
Your skin's
You're
not
so
thick enough.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I don't want any stranger to be able to fuck with my feeling of self-esteem. God no.
No, you've worked too hard.
No,
all
this
these
is
thousands
this
of years.
This
to
is
build
hard. There's been a lot of shopping involved.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I want to be okay when someone inevitably says something shitty to me. I want to be able to be like, well, fuck you too. Jesus.
Yeah, bounce it off.
God, mother raise you. Jesus Christ. Give her a slap.
What type of stories get to you? What type of stories move you?
I was raised on 60s pop, so I like weird, introspective. I have a terrible.
We've talked about wrist cutters.
Oh man, I fucking love Wrist Cutters
I
so
know.
much.
I know.
It's so good.
Not a lot of
It's
people
so
know
my
about it,
jam.
but they should find it.
Have no idea.
Yeah.
God, did you ever see Oh Lucky Man?
Yes.
That was a big movie for me
Yeah.
growing up. The Man in the $1,000 suit.
Yeah.
$1,000 suit. I love weird. I love. I mean, like, the '60s are really my. I was raised by
Yeah, people from that
Yeah,
era.
really.
So
I love anything sad. I love something sad, like Brazil. Any good Terry Gilliam.
Brazil.
it
tragedy.
speaks to the
yeah.
goth in you, Taliesin.
Why sad?
Oh God, what's the Doctor Who writes?
I mean, I feel like there's a beauty in sadness. I feel like I think that it is beneficial sometimes, as crazy as it might seem, to experience or look at something from the medium of something being maybe sad or somber, because it may be therapeutic in a way. It may help you deal with your own sadness and somberness that you may be dealing with. And it's like, it's one of those things where, like, you don't necessarily want to go your whole life avoiding it, because eventually you're gonna have to confront that feeling, or feelings, confront those feelings. And if you spend too much time distracting yourself with happy things or other things when you genuinely do have these feelings in you that you kind of need to explore, figure out, confront, and understand, it's gonna take a huge toll on you in the long run. So I I don't know, in a way, like, that's my thoughts on it. I don't know what he's gonna say, but I do feel like there's a benefit to it, and I enjoy I do enjoy darker things. I enjoy somber, more, how do you say? I enjoy, like, if there's let's instruments, chords, let's say for instance a song, an instrumental. I thoroughly enjoy songs that have majority of the things in minor keys than I do in major keys, if that makes any sense. I enjoy that. I don't know. It's I find beauty in that. That's just me. I don't know if you can relate, but anyways, let's see what Taliesin has to say about it.
That's a good one. Why sad?
Oh God, what's the Doctor Who? writes?
There's some beauty in it, man.
It's such a shitty.
Sad is happy for deep people.
It's such a shitty line, but I love it so much.
That's a bumper
Sad is
sticker
happy for
someone
deep
who
people.
drives
Mm.
a car that lives in the colony ML.
I feel that despair is an intensely important feeling, and
Yeah.
I like
Absolutely.
artificially inducing it in myself so that I can be better prepared for it later.
How do you artificially induce despair into your
Brazil.
by watching
Watching
something
Brazil.
that brings that out in you? It's interesting.
Angels with Dirty Faces, Chinatown.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a series.
I have a list of films like that. Things We Lost in the Fire, Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, I can't watch that anymore. That wrecked me.
Bro, the song "Requiem for a Dream," I love that song. Love that song. It's kind of got it. I don't know. It's just kind of embodies what I just talked about as far as like beauty and like somberness and sadness, but there's also this intensity and this build up, and it can be triumphant if you can confront it, and it's such a great song, man. Such a great song. There's, like I said, there's so many songs like that. Um, like from Two Steps from Hell, White Witch is another one that reminds me of that. Against the Tide by Cell Dweller is another song that I like a lot. If you look up that song, and it's not necessarily the lyrics, which yes, the lyrics are, invoke that feeling, but it's also the instrumental. I really, really enjoy listening to instrumentals of songs, as well. I can appreciate them. I'm no producer or nothing, but like I said, I enjoy the more somber, delicate songs like that, so to speak, that aren't so happy or energetic in like a happy way.
I saw that with my roommate Hannah, and
Really?
and oh yeah, we were like, well, that happened. Oh God.
I watched it with a few friends of mine that I grew up with and lived sort of a similar lifestyle to. And when we got done,
That movie sobered a lot of people up.
we
and
had
it
a
also
movie
sent a bunch
theater.
of people
Yeah,
right back into
exactly.
drugs.
It was very catapults
I
went in both
need to get
directions
high
when
right
they
now,
came
oh
to that
God.
movie. Yeah, that was a dumbed down version of some of my teenage years.
I genuinely, my short bus is mine. That's a dumbed down version.
Oh, yeah.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I used to judge people for owning a copy of Requiem for a Dream.
Really?
Yeah, I would have like
yeah.
if I saw it on your shelf, I would.
I guess I
go
gotta
over and
see
go
the movie
like,
because
"Why
I
do
never
you
seen the
want that?"
movie.
Really?
Would you come home
But I
after
guess
work?
I gotta
Boy,
see
it's
it.
been a long day. They're gonna sit
gonna
down,
put on Requiem
open up a
for a
beer,
Dream.
put on Requiem for a Dream, and just chill out for the weekend.
Requiem
Like,
for a
what?
Dream.
I understand seeing it once, but why twice? Why do you want to feel that way twice?
Yeah.
Good God.
Damn, I gotta see this
It's
movie.
interesting to. It's so funny though because for some people it probably pulls out the same things that Brazil does for
Oh, yeah.
you, but it is hard to understand because it's such an extreme example.
It's such
of
an
it.
extreme film. Too.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant film.
Of the Aronofsky ones, I'll say The Fountain is my Brazil.
I only recently saw The Fountain, and
It's-
I love
it. Went over a lot of people's heads, but I find a lot of good lessons in it.
Oh, it's
about
it's beautiful, and it
character.
does that thing that like really. There's a type of art that I'm really that's kind of what was it? It's like ecstatic art.
Yeah.
Where, it's ecstatic art where I like watching it. I can actually feel that tingling sensation of like I'm
Static
receiving
art.
information from a higher place, whatever that may be.
Right. I
I'm
don't
like-
quite understand it yet, but I know
I'm
it's
learning
coming
every
through.
time I see it. There's something new, and I'm feeling something new, and I'm making some new insight into it. And there's a lot here, and I'm only capable of in taking so much of it.
Yeah. You've had an incredibly full and interesting and affecting life so far.
Thank you. It's a little disturbing on occasion.
What could
Let me
possibly
bring it back a little
Thank
bit, see what that title card
incredibly-
was. Now what? Okay.
You've had an incredibly full and interesting and affecting life so far.
Thank you. It's a little disturbing on occasion.
What could possibly be left on the list of stuff that you haven't experienced yet that you can't wait
I
to?
asked that 4 years ago, and now I'm doing a D&D show.
Oh, yeah, that's true, right?
There's
What do I
always
do
more,
now?
man. There's
It's like,
always
well,
more.
I'm doing this now.
I know, who could have expected?
Yeah, A Lucky Man is such a good film in that sense. I feel like A Lucky Man it's not my favorite film by any stretch of the imagination. It's also way too long.
Yeah.
Nor is it Harold and Maude, which is also a good
Harold and Maude's
that
the
just
best.
came to my mind.
Yeah.
That movie made me.
Beautifully disturbing. in
Ruth
so
Gordon,
many
I will
ways.
watch Ruth Gordon do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So hot. Ruth Gordon's hot.
Ruth Gordon's
Just putting
hot.
it out there.
Hot take.
Ruth Gordon.
Give me a calendar of Ruth Gordon any day of the week.
Ruth Gordon is who I want to be
Ruth
dating.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Please, man. Life is long and strange, and I keep saying yes to things. I don't know.
But you seem happy with those choices.
They're choices.
Yeah.
Choices are way better than not choosing. Not choosing just means that you're at the whims of circumstance, and sometimes you are, and it's inevitable. And I've had some shitty times. I've had plenty of shitty times.
Yeah.
I've got weird chemical imbalances that send me skyrocketing. Like a week, I had a depressive episode a week ago. It was thankfully short, and I medicated, and I'm.
Yeah. I mean, my wiring has been all fucked up for ages, so I know exactly. what
I'll
you're
sit
talking
there and
about.
think I'm shit for a week. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's regular, man. That's regular shit.
You're the only person sitting there thinking that Taliesin Jaffe is shit, though.
Thankfully no.
That is
Thankfully,
true.
There are people out in the world who think I'm shitty and have legitimate reasons for thinking so. I just know them all personally. Anybody who doesn't know me who thinks I'm shit is full of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's a couple people who genuinely they're like, he did this and this. I'm like, yeah, that's fair, I did.
Yeah. But that's a good.
Apology owed.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a sign of, someone who's in touch with their own shittiness.
I don't trust anyone who's never apologized.
No, definitely not.
No, that's a shit person immediately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've been an asshole to people. Jesus.
Who
Teenage
hasn't,
asshole.
man?
I've been a big teenage asshole. Just the
Teenage,
biggest
a teenage dirtbag?
You look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. I don't even.
I'm not bisexual, but there's really no denying the amount of sexual energy that
Always a
is
good
in
time
a
to
room
start.
where both of us are. Life's short, do something.
Nice.
Life starts to do something to a bagel. I gotta say, like, man, it's life can be very good.
Yeah, right? That's where I'm ending it. Thank you for joining
On
me.
some
Thank you for this
positivity.
drink.
These
This is
blonde men.
fucking-
Cheers,
Look,
guys.
We made it
Cheers.
all the way down to the bottom.
We're all the way down to the Bronx.
Thanks, dude.
Absolute fucking pleasure.
You're awesome.
Oh God, it's so nice to know you.
It's so nice to know you.
Oh, man. It's so wholesome, guys.
This is it.
Wait, what do you
So nice
say?
to know you.
It's so nice to know you.
Now we never have to speak again.
This is it for the next 2,000 years until
See
we
you
meet again.
2019. 2119.
That's 100 years.
Nice. That was interesting. I really enjoyed getting an idea of Talison's personality, and honestly, he seems pretty reserved, super talented, super introspective. I'm very introspective. I think I would love to just sit down and talk with this guy, because I'm very much in my own head as well. I enjoyed his thoughts on things and the way that he spoke and the words that he used. I appreciate him. When it comes to the crew, right, of Critical Role, a lot of them seem to be more higher energy. Not all of them, but I will say that Taliesin is the most low energy, reserved, relaxed, and that goes back to what he was talking about when he was a kid. And that's kind of how I am. I mean, like I said from day one with this channel, I'm not an overhyped guy. I don't make these crazy, exaggerated reactions, you know what I mean? It's just me. I'm just here, man, and we're just chilling, you know? And if I get hyped about something, I'll get hyped, but it's not going to be anything over the top. So I can appreciate his demeanor and just the way he speaks, his way with words. Like, he just seems like a really cool, just down-to-earth dude, pretty genuine, that you just want to just talk about life with sometimes, you know, and just talk about the good, the bad. At least for me, I would just enjoy talking to the guy. I think he's awesome. Everybody brings their own flavor to the team, and he's absolutely no different. I honestly might have the most unique flavor as far as the relaxed demeanor. Carved out his own little corner as far as that goes. Let me know what you guys think. If there's anything that I missed, any references or anything that you just want to add, Let me know. I hope that you guys enjoyed. It has been an over an hour and 30 minutes, so this is a long one. Enjoy. Check out my other stuff if you haven't. Continue supporting. Do all the good things. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to tell you guys. You guys already know. All of you guys are great, and I just hope that you continue to enjoy what I put out. Continue to rock with me, and yeah, we'll keep going on this journey of learning things together. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, and stay safe out there, guys. And yeah, that's it. Peace.